Now, I love The Legend of Zelda. I think as a game series, it's always been really, really good. Always on top notch. However, there's one thing that really, really annoys me. In reality, you have been playing the same game, just with things moved about a bit. It's like having a bookshelf, but every time you go to the bookshelf, the books aren't in the same position. Someone's come around and moved them to different levels and different spaces, and you just got to re-find them again. That's how I'd sort of describe pretty much all the Legend of Zeldas, really, sort of since Ocarina of Time, maybe even before that. But I'm not saying they haven't been fun. I mean, recently you've just got the re-released version of Wind Waker HD, and I still play Wind Waker on my GameCube. I love it. I think that's my favourite Zelda game. But what I want to see is, I really want to see a massive shake-up in the Legend of Zelda series. I want to see it change completely. Now, there are a couple of ways I think you can do this. And first is what I'd like to see is Zelda actually being the main playable character. Purely for the fact it would change the entire story and dynamic. Yes, she'd be the main character and it would allow her, but it's like, you've got to give her something to do. And that's the thing. Even if you give, you change the role of somebody from a main character from male to a female, you've still got to give them something to do. And I think that if you change that, even if you did change the role, you'd still be sort of getting the same game. So it's not a story way that I'm sort of really want. Well, actually, I do sort of want a change in the story, but I'd also love a real change in the gameplay as well. I'd love for it to be a sandbox open world. Now, there are people who argue that it is a sandbox already, but I want it to be even more so. I think that would be absolutely brilliant, with particularly the power that we're getting out of the new consoles. I think a Legend of Zelda sandbox could really push some of the stuff, because when you think to the open world fields of Hyrule Field, even the Great Ocean in Wind Waker, all the fields are boring. There's nothing to do. Now, let's think if you could, say, take something like the open world system Skyrim, and take the exact design concepts that Bethesda took from that, and says, everywhere you go, there must be something good and interesting to see. Every cave, there must be something interesting in that cave. Every ruin, you cannot go, I think it was, I think it's something like 200 steps or something like that. They said, you mustn't be able to go without seeing something new, something interesting, something that makes you want to go and explore that place. And I think if you brought that design concept into a open world sandbox Legend of Zelda game, I think that would be really, really good. But one of the other things I sort of want to do as well is I want to change the dynamic that they've had for years of Link's always had the Triforce of Courage, Zelda is wisdom, Ganondorf is power. Now, what if you changed who has the individual Triforce? So, for example, what if you still played as Link, except you had the Triforce of Power instead of the Triforce of Courage? Now, you're still a good guy, but this could change not only the story and the dynamic of it, because what if, for example, Link starts out as a bandit, and then through maybe, I don't know, maybe he kidnaps Zelda, maybe he was employed by Ganondorf, who has is calling the Triforce of Courage, but Link doesn't know it's Ganondorf. you know, he kidnapped Zelda and so forth. I mean, that's a gigantic change to the story there already. But also, I'd love to see, instead of equipment being sort of the focus, because again, Ganondorf has always had the Triforce of Power, has always given him lots of magical abilities. So instead of Link relying on maybe his sword and shield and, you know, the various equipment he gets, he now has to rely on his magic and magic spells that he can learn throughout the quest. I think, again, that would really change up the dynamic. I mean, if you think about, you know, the Wii U now has the massive console. There's sort of a very interesting system where you could almost have Link's main weapon isn't his sword and shield, but his spellbook. And maybe, you know, you could turn pages. I don't think that would be a very good game mechanic, but it's just an idea. But I'd love to see something really change and shake up the Legend of Zelda series, because I think that even though the games have always been really, really good, even like the most hardcore Zelda fan has got to admit, really we've been playing sort of the same game with different skins and new toys, and in reality sort of nothing's changed. So that's why I'd like to see from the next Legend of Zelda game a huge change upon the story and gameplay mechanics as well.